What is up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome to my YouTube channel if you are new here. For those of you who do not know me, I am Samuel Sis and I talk a bit of cock on the internet. Welcome back to this week's Blêrie News, where we will be covering some of the ridiculous stories that's been in the news in recent days. We will in length be covering the Charlize Theron drama because I have a lot to say on the subject. But before we get started, let's run the intro. Okay, so in the first story today, in an heroic act, the Northwestern government spent a dazzling 780,000 rand on 20 donkey carts which they gifted to their people. This was in an attempt to alleviate some of their everyday burdens. So this will assist people in getting elderly people to the hospital and children to school. The Northwestern government also announced that in an attempt to alleviate the everyday stresses of matric students, they will be gifting schools with R1 million worth of floppy disks, Nokia 3310s, and some candles to study by. You know? They also did this in an attempt to make sure that their people don't accidentally fall into 2022, and at the same time to make sure that they, as the government officials, still stay rich. Now guys, just to make sure I don't get sued, I have to make this clear. The last part of my story was made up. It's not true. It is satire meant to bring my point across. Although, if that was an actual headline, I would not be surprised. So apparently some of this 20 donkey carts, again with 780,000 rand, broke and fell apart after the first use. Luckily, the donkey carts did come with a maintenance plan. Now, the first time I saw that, I thought, what is there to maintain? It's a steel donkey cart. Like, you have to respray it every now and again to make sure that it doesn't rust. But what else is there to do? But I didn't keep in mind that it was built poorly. I also didn't keep in mind the fact that there is no infrastructure in these towns, no roads, and it's like very rough terrain, you know, which is normal. Guys, I have a lot to say about this. I saw a lot of opinions from people, varying opinions. So there were people who said that these donkey carts made a difference in the community, like the people that received it was happy about it. I don't doubt that, but my issue is, in a country where our government officials drives a vehicle that is more than 780,000 rand, I think it's a slap in the face. Just my opinion. I think it's there to distract people from the fact that there's no roads, no proper schooling, no proper hospitals. There's some of these places that doesn't have running water. In what universe is it okay to look after your people like that and then come in some media stunt and gift them with donkey carts and expect praise? Excuse me, Blêrie. I don't think so. I'm going to show you a picture of the wonderful donkey carts. The two-seaters goes for approximately 32,000 rand. And as someone who worked in a workshop, granted we built furniture, but still I can tell you that that is a bit of square tubing, a steel plate, 2 tires and some medium density foam. Definitely not worth 32,000 rand. The Northwest Transport Department decided that they're going to launch an internal probe into the costing of these donkey carts. I'm pretty sure that's going to go very well. Internal investigations always seems to go well, right? They did say though that they have nothing to hide. They can come and probe away, so we'll see how that goes. Apparently 5 roofs of the donkey carts has already been replaced in the maintenance plan, and the Northwest government came out and said that the damaged donkey carts will be fixed for free. Such science, guys. I cannot iterate it enough. Science, this Northwest government. Congratulations, well done. Let's move on. Okay, guys, in some news very close to home, apparently there is plans, like in the works, to reopen Kempton Park Hospital 25 years after it closed. Fun fact, I was born there. I was born at Kempton Park Hospital a few years after it closed down, and it started to become like haunted. Have you heard that? Like it's a creepy place. I've always wondered. So apparently, according to the article that I read, apparently it closed down because it was underused. Imagine that. But now, after 25 years, they said, you know what, we are starting to think that there's a lot of pressure on Tembisa Hospital. Wow, no shit. Hello. Like, as someone who doesn't have medical aid, I can tell you that all government hospitals is overwhelmed. There's not enough beds. And I've always wondered, like, why is that building just standing there? Is it because of the ghosts? Because at this stage, I would rather mingle with ghosts, than standing in a queue where you might get helped, unless you die before you get helped. You know what I'm saying? This whole building is standing there. There's still like equipment and stuff that probably isn't working anymore, but everything was just left there. It's so eerie and weird. But anyway, congratulations, well done once again on realizing that maybe the government hospitals are overcrowded. Okay guys, so the next story in the news tells us the importance of reading the entire article and not just the headline. Okay, because this headline, guys, was a story about a man in Germany who found a check of the equivalent of 83 million rand, right? That was made out to Haribo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's that sweeties. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this man found this check just lying about. 83 million rand. Okay. He then contacted the company and said, hello, I found your check. And they said, please destroy it and send us a picture like proof that you destroyed it. In return, they gave him a thank you box with 6 packets of sweets. So when I read this, I thought, that is ridiculous. Like, how can you reward this man's honesty like that? Cease. But if you read the entire article, you would find out that this check was like crossed out, so no one could use it. Like, he couldn't use the check. He couldn't go off like living his whole life with their money, you know. So it was just like a standard thank you box. It wasn't like a reward for giving back the money. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But this made me think, guys. If you found a check on the floor in the sand, in the road, you know, with like a check for 83 million rand, would you return it or would you use it? Let me know in the comments. I would like to hear your opinion. Honestly, guys, I would probably give it back because I'm scared of karma. I don't want bad karma coming my way. Life is hard enough. But if I'm being honest, it would also depend on who the check is made out to. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe if the check was made out to the Northwest government, I would probably keep the money. Because they are just going to spend it on 20 donkey cars and then tell the public that that 20 donkey cars cost 83 million rand. I know it. I don't know it, guys. I'm speculating. Don't sue me. This is satire. Northwest government. Moving on. My brother is busy cooking in the kitchen. I have to say it smells delicious. Anyway, let's move on to the next story, shall we? Okay guys, the next story, there is a battle of the chickens going on. Apparently, there was a whole lawsuit between Nando's and Pedro's, or Pedro's. I don't know them, but I know them now, so good on you. So, according to Pedro's, Nando's can dish it out, but they can't take it. Because what happened is Pedro's made an advert where they implied their food is better than Nan's. They said Nan's, or Nan. And then Nando's, because obviously they are referencing Nando's, so they took them to court and said this is not on. And then Pedro said Nando's made their whole thing. Their thing is their controversial, funny, poking at the competition type of advert, so they can dish it out but they can't take it. But then Nando's said, you obviously implied that your chicken is better than our chicken. So it's a whole thing. It's like my dad is stronger than your dad situation going on. My thoughts, I don't care. But I also need to say, Nando's is cock expensive. Have you guys seen that things? That their chickens go to Woolworths Primary and Woolworths University. Huh? It's expensive. And then it's tiny little chicken. It looks like birds. Small birds at that. Anyway, I don't really like chicken when it's on the bone. I'm weird. I will eat it if it's boneless. But when it's on the bone, guys, I'm going on a tangent. Sorry about that, but I need to talk about this. It's important. When it's on the bone, sometimes you eat your chicken, especially if it's like a bokie, eating your chicken, and when you come to the bone part, sometimes it's still a little bit red there, and it grills me. Ugh, I can't. And I eat my chicken dry. It must be dry. If Gordon Ramsay tastes my chicken, he must go, "That is overcooked." That is how I eat my chicken. Anyway, I don't know what my point is. Oh, my point is, I enjoy in America, their adverts. They literally take on each other. It's fair game. Over here, it's very, you can easily step on someone's toes, you can't reference the competition. I don't know if I agree with that. I find it funny when people poke at each other. Have you seen the Twitter account for Wendy's in America? It's funny because they are going it left, right and center at their competition. And I think it's fair game. But not in South Africa. None of that would fly. Nando's won, by the way. They said Pedro's must think of their own adverts and not just rely on piggybacking on Nando's. I have to say Nando's makes brilliant adverts. Anyway, I've been talking about chicken for too long. Let's move on. It's time to talk about Charlize Theron. Okay guys, so unless you have been living under a rock, I'm assuming you have heard about the Charlize Theron drama. Okay, if you haven't, I'll quickly in a nutshell it for you. And then I'm gonna talk a bit more seriously because I have a lot of things to say on this subject. Okay, let's jump in. So Charlize Theron, who is an American actress, I say that because let's be honest guys, she's no longer South African. She has no idea what goes on in this country. She is so out of touch with the reality of South Africa. It's not even funny. So she left the country when she was 16. She's been in America longer than she's been in South Africa. And she's been in America her whole adult life. So she went onto a podcast. Okay. And she started spewing a bunch of cack. Okay. She said stuff like Afrikaans, which is one of South Africa's 11 official languages. Afrikaans is a dying language. Only about 44 people still speak it. It is not a very useful language. It's not very helpful, And she also went on to say that she didn't really have any difficulty losing her Afrikaans accent because she only learned from scratch to speak English at the age of 19. I was confused by this because she left South Africa when she was 16. And then she went to, I think, Italy for 2 years after she won a modeling contract or something. So in that 2 years in Italy, what language was she speaking if she only learned English at the age of 19? The math isn't mathing. Anyway, so this whole podcast sparked controversy because obviously more than 44 people speak Afrikaans. That is just the most ridiculous statement I've ever heard. Ever. And I've seen a couple of comments and opinions of all sides, and I want to address them. So I got a few comments saying, South Africans are just now taking everything serious again and getting pressed and blah blah blah. She was obviously being sarcastic and she was just exaggerating to prove a point, you know, that type of business. Look, normally I would agree. I tend to not take things seriously. I don't really get offended by things because I think it's a useless emotion, getting offended. People are going to disagree with you. People are going to have opinions that is so far away from what you think in your head. But they are allowed to. I'm not going to be offended by what other people think. I'm definitely not going to be offended by what Charlize Theron thinks because she doesn't know. She doesn't speak for our country because she's not a South African. If you get what I'm saying. She's from here, but she didn't make any effort to retain her culture. She is in fact ashamed of her culture, and every time she speaks about our beautiful country, it is in a derogatory and off-puttish way. Okay. I always think of it like, for me, South Africa is like my sibling. Let me explain. I am allowed to say that my brother is bloody annoying, okay, and that he's a piece of crap sometimes, or whatever. I'm allowed to say it. You aren't. Don't you come and talk nonsense about my brother. I will clap you. Same with South Africa. I can sit and rant about the issues that we have in this country because I know what the issues are. I can be sarcastic and make funny comments, and so can everybody else who is South African. That is how we cope. We cope with humor and we do satire and exaggerations. That is our humor. Fine. But this podcast was by far not the first time that Mrs. Charlize Theron van Benoni went onto public platforms and spewed a bunch of ridiculousness. Every time she speaks about growing up in South Africa and about her culture and her country, it's in an off-putting and negative way. This all started, and I've never been a fan of Charlize because it's very apparent that she hates this country. She hates where she comes from. She has an extreme hatred of her heritage and of her people. It's just, it's obvious. It all started many years ago when she did that controversial advert. You guys know the one I'm talking about, where she went on to talk about, I'm going to give you a little skit. This is my version of what she did. People often ask me what South African men are like. It's very hard to say what South African men are like because there really aren't any. South African men all is assault. I have to be careful of the words that I use on YouTube. Is assault. I'm gonna skip the pretense. So what she basically alluded to and said is that all South African men are offenders. And if they are not, they just sit by and they are okay with it. It's just like, you do your thing, man. That is all South African men. That upset me. I'm not gonna lie. I have no issue with her using her platform, to spread awareness of gender-based violence, because it's something that needs to be talked about. But what I want you to understand, and this goes out to anybody who needs to hear it, you do not need to put down men in order to build up women. You do not have to hate men in order to build up women. And a lot of the things that this woman has said in the past, it makes it very clear that she doesn't really like men. She has a extreme distaste for men in general. She, in a later interview, I think this one was quite recently, she spoke about her father and the day that her mother unalived her dad in self-defense, and she said he came home, he was extremely drunk. She said her father was an alcoholic, and that it wasn't spoken about, or nothing was being done about it, because they weren't support groups, and the general idea back then was that is what men do. Men drink. What? Again with the stereotypes and the generalization. I know a lot of South African men who aren't alcoholics. I know South African women who are alcoholics, and I'm pretty sure there are alcoholics in all other countries, right? Why with the generalization? I mean, my father's father is probably around her father's age, and he didn't drink. So there goes that. But there seems to be this consensus that generalization and harmful stereotypes is bad. Don't do it. Unless it's about men, or white people, or Christians. If you are a Christian, white, middle-aged man, then you don't deserve anything. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, and then also during some sort of charity event where she was doing charity work for HIV, she came to like South African townships and cities and whatever, and then she went on to say that South Africans are very ignorant about sex. In South Africa, condoms are taboo. South Africans don't really talk about sex or SA or condoms or any of that. We are actually really ignorant and stupid. What? Again, what are you talking about? Why is she going out of her way to make us look stupid? Right? So, a lot of what she's been about is what I was talking about earlier, her extreme hatred of where she came from and the Afrikaans culture. And I saw a lot of people praising her comments, saying, yes, stick it to the white man, you know, that sort of thing. But to that I say, Afrikaans is not a race. Afrikaans doesn't belong to white people. Afrikaans belongs to South Africa. There are people of all races speaking Afrikaans. It's a part of our country. The same way that all 11 official languages are a part of our country. No need to be embarrassed by it. I saw comments saying that Afrikaans needs to disappear. It needs to starve out because it's an oppressive language. How can a language be oppressive? There are people in the history of this country that was oppressive. It doesn't make the language oppressive. I mean, if you say that, then we can basically say English must starve out, because I swear there are very few languages more oppressive than English. Never mind the fact that Afrikaans people were kept in concentration camps where South African women and children were being unalived and SA'd. Never mind that. Never mind the fact that South African Afrikaans cultures has been oppressed in the past by English speaking people. It's not the language, it is history. And I can assure you, if you go back to any one of our histories, in our past, in our ancestries, there will be examples of our ancestors being oppressed and being the oppressors. Not because of a language, but because people are cock. You know what I'm saying? It's people. You get horrible people of all ages, sexes, races. You get horrible people. Stop generalizing it. Is German an oppressive language? No. There was events in the country's history that was terrible. Doesn't make the language oppressive. We need to start as South Africans, and that is something that I'm so thankful for in my community, if I can call it that, like my TikTok, my Facebook, my Instagram. It is diverse. You get the odd like hate comment or troll comment, but in general, like there's people of different ages, races, languages, cultures. Everyone just comes together, and what we have in common is that we are South African. Because regardless of your culture or your language, South African in general is a culture within its own. And I will not stand for so-called South African Americans to continuously degrade our country. And the other big issue that I have, and it's one of the first things I thought about when this now happened again. She adopted 2 children from South Africa. And in my opinion, I may be wrong, but in my opinion, even if you adopt children from other countries, I think it's very important to teach your children about their culture, where they came from, their home language or languages. I think it's important for children to know their culture and where they came from. How is she going to teach her 2 children to be proud of their heritage and their country and their language if she herself is so ashamed of coming from South Africa? How is she going to teach her kids to be proud of where they came from? And it's an important thing. Being proud of where you come from doesn't have to mean that you agree with everything that happens in your country or happened in your country. It doesn't mean that you have to be in agreement of what happened in history. Not at all. It doesn't mean even where we are sitting now. I have made several rant videos about South Africa and about the things that's happening, and the fact that just in this video, the fact that people don't have roads and proper schools and healthcare and public transport and running water. I rant about this country often, and there's a lot of things wrong here, and there was a lot of things wrong here in the past, but I am still a very proud South African, very proud Afrikaans speaking South African lady, woman. Okay. I think I said everything that I needed to. I hope I didn't rant on for too long or go on too many tangents, because I just gooid what came into my head. But I find it sad. She had an opportunity to, like many other actresses and actors who show how proud they are of their heritage and where they came from. She had an opportunity. She could help build this country. And she never talks about the political issues that we are facing today. No. Because she doesn't know the issues that we are facing today. She doesn't know. She just plays her agenda. I'm telling you guys, she has this agenda to make her appear a certain way, and like, ach poor me, she contradicts herself all the time. Like, she was like, I grew up in South Africa. How many times has this woman talked about her experiences growing up in the country, how difficult life she had growing up? But then at the same time, she goes on to say, I grew up in South Africa, I had white privilege. But just the other day, you were saying how hard life you were having. I don't understand why she needs to push this agenda. Talk about real issues. Don't spread misinformation. Talk about our history, the good and the bad parts. But stop degrading our beautiful country because it's my sibling. I can talk about it, you can't. You hear what I'm saying, Charlize Theron van Benoni? Alright, this got serious quickly. I hope you understand what I meant by everything that I said. I tend not to tackle too serious topics because honestly, and this is the real truth, honestly, I don't know what can be said, what can't be said. I am like, I just want to make people smile and I just want to laugh, and I don't feel like getting cancelled. I just wanted to share my opinions on this subject because I think it's serious. I don't think that any South African person needs to be ashamed of their culture. I think we should embrace our cultures and our combined culture of being South African and everything that it entails. Load shedding, potholes, braaivleisvuur, pap and sheba. Like, embrace South Africa. I know I do. Alright, but that is going to be the end of today's news. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry if it went on long, but I had a lot to say. Remember to subscribe down below, please. And thank you. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Please, I have to say this. Be respectful. Don't, like, on my TikTok and YouTube and, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook videos, I had to delete so many comments of guys just being extremely crude, rude, disrespectful, hateful. I won't have any of that nonsense on my channel. Like, be kind, give your opinions. Even if you disagree with some of the stuff I said, I don't mind. I like a healthy debate. But do not be hateful in my comment section. Now, we are here about kindness and laughter. You understand me? Are we understanding each other? Alright. Bye bye.